Kyle Larson will be back on dirt soon, and we'll talk about where, plus what he said recently about racing the Chili Bowl early in 2025. We'll also dive into sprint cars on a cricket field, more Lucas confirmations, and more today. Let's go. It is Wednesday, November 13th. I'm Justin Fiedler. This is DIRTRACKR Daily presented by Kubota Genuine Parts. In recent days, I've had a few comments and questions about Kyle Larson's dirt racing schedule coming up, and to be honest, he hasn't even been on my radar, at all. I know he's going to run those high-limit shows in Australia and not return to Vado for the Wild West shootout in January, but other than that, I pretty much just assumed we probably wouldn't see him. His plans to race, even during the regular season, aren't often heavily broadcasted, and with so much happening with silly season and all of the other news we've been talking about, this isn't something I've even really been paying attention to. And Larson hasn't raced a lot, on dirt lately because he's been involved in the NASCAR playoffs. But apparently Young Money will likely be back on dirt very soon. During the NASCAR finale weekend at Phoenix, he mentioned running some midget races coming up, which seems to point towards the USAC West Coast swing. And he did call out the Australia trip specifically. And then he was asked about the Chili Bowl, but he did not respond to that part of the question. He did say, though, that he's still trying to figure out all of his plans. So we'll see if the Chili Bowl happens here or not. And remember, he missed the event completely in 2023, instead choosing to race the late model at Vado. And then in 2024, he'd done the same thing, raced the late model at Vado, but he did make that late decision to run, jumping into Keith Kunz's car, but he crashed out on his prelim night and didn't come back for Saturday. On the Daily Show yesterday, I went through some of the confirmed drivers expected to race with USAC over the coming weeks, and one of those I mentioned was Tyler Courtney. Sunshine is going to race a Silva Motorsports midget, and between a merch social media post from him and a paint scheme post from Blackbeard, it's pretty clear that Sunshine and Larson are going to be teammates here. Sunshine's car, besides being adorned with NOS colors, also has familiar Larson partners on it, including Flow Racing, HendrickCars.com, Finley Farms, and JVI. What exactly Larson's schedule will be, I'm not sure, but I did have a YouTube commenter mention yesterday that at Paris this past weekend for the USAC CRA finale, they talked at the track about Larson racing Turkey Night at Ventura. Larson was at Turkey Night in 2023 along with the Hangtown 100 at Placerville. We've also seen him run Merced and Bakersfield in recent years. But Larson is the type of driver that people will show up to tracks to see. So unless it's confirmed from his side, I'm not going to promise you that he's going to be at this race or that race. Before you make plans, I'd be sure to make sure he's scheduled to be at the race you're wanting to attend. And based on past situations, we may get a release or a news story about this. If we do, it will likely be from the Flow Racing side, but it's also possible we won't know for sure until his car is unloaded in the pits. Besides the races that Larson decides to do and the drivers we've already talked about, you can also add Corey Day and Chase McDermott to that West Coast swing list. CJ Leary is also going to run Turkey Night. Corey Day was one I had missed before. He's going to be back with Willie Kahne in his midget. Remember, he and Willie won a prelim night at the Chili Bowl this year and ended up third in the finale behind Logan Seavey and Buddy Kofoid. The Hangtown 100 at Placerville starts on Friday, also racing Saturday. Down in Australia, there's an interesting event happening this weekend that you might want to check out. The Supercars, which are kind of like Australia's NASCAR if you aren't aware, are racing the Adelaide 500 this weekend, and festivities will include a sprint car race. Only the sprint car race isn't happening at a nearby dirt track. It's happening on a temporary track built inside the Adelaide street circuit. That Adelaide circuit is run around King Rodney Park right in the center of the city, and that park has a cricket field. And in recent days, that cricket field has been converted into what they are calling Napa Speedway for this event. The dirt track is about 1/5 of a mile, and they'll have around 40 410 sprint cars competing there over the next few days. And this is kind of going to be in between the supercar action on the road course or on the street course. Races are $10,000 to win, and there is $25,000 to the overall points champion. The entry list, I believe, is invitational. It includes James McFadden, Jock Goodyear, Thomas Meserol, Chase Randall, Kerry Madsen, Michael Pickens, Callum Williamson, Dane Kingshot, Lachlan McHugh, and a lot more. You're going to kind of get a mix of the who's who of the Australian sprint car drivers plus some American guys mixed in. Toby over at Sprint Car Hub says they've invested $1 million to build this track and make this event happen. If you want to tune in, both of the nights will be live over on Claperview, and Claperview's streaming schedule is included on the streaming schedule over at DIRTRACKR.com. And if you want a full look at the Sprint Car schedule down under, Toby has a very comprehensive one on the Sprint Car Hub Facebook page. It's quite a large graphic with all of the races, and it runs all the way through May. So if you want to kind of know the full slate, go check that out. And then Master Gassers posted a list of American drivers racing down under this year. It includes Justin Whittle, Brock Zierfoss, Garrett Williamson, Joel Myers Jr., obviously Chase Randall, Larson, Gio Scelzi, Carson Macedo, Corey Eliason, Madsen, and Brad Sweet. I would assume a bunch of those guys are going to run the high limit stuff at Perth as well. I've been asked if I'm going to cover any of the racing from down under this year. We'll definitely talk about some of it, including those high limit races and the Grand Annual Sprint Car Classic for sure. If there's anything else notable that happens like this event, we'll surely talk about that stuff as well. On the Tuesday Daily Show, we covered the news of Brandon Sheppard 2 Rocket Racing being official for 2025. And we also gave a current update on Lucas full-timers for next season. I wanted to add to that list today because I was sent a few things in the last 24 hours since we did that show. First, we can confirm Devin Moran, he will be back next season. He said on a recent Facebook Live that he and the Double Down Motorsports team will be on the road with Lucas again next season. That's not a surprising one, and he was a driver I mentioned as one we could probably assume would be back. Another confirmation is Max Blair with the Centerline Motorsports team. They're having a party in January to, quote, celebrate Max's 2024 year with the Lucas Oil Late Model Dirt Series and help support his 2025 Lucas Oil title chase. Max was 9th in the Lucas standings this season with 9 top 5s and 19 top 10s in 45 races. He brings our list of confirmed drivers up to 8. Joins, obviously, Moran, Dalton Wilson, Clay Harris, Carson Ferguson, Dan Ebert, Brandon Sheppard, and Tim McCree. All of those guys confirmed. And then we're assuming Ricky Thornton Jr. and Hudson O'Neal will be back as well. So that takes us up to 10. And then that leaves Jonathan Davenport up in the air, along with Mike Marlar and Garrett Alberson. I could see a scenario where Davenport falls back off again. We know he's on, he's off. He likes it for a while. He doesn't like it for a while. And then Mike Marlar was non-committal not that long ago in an interview with Dirt on Dirt. I would assume Alberson will be back, but we'll have to wait and see on him. If you want some more dirt racing audio this week, Wing Nation has David Gravel, and then their yearly conversation with Brian Carter, kind of about the state of the World of Outlaws and World Racing Group. That is happening today. Dirt Track Confessions has Kendra Jacobs. Hoagie's Garage has Jack Croker and Johnny Herrera, and there are new episodes of The Dirt Reporters, Dirt Tracks and Rib Racks, and The Drivers Project. To see everything that is available, head over to DIRTRACKR.com/podcasts. That's the Daily Show for today. Coming up tomorrow, we'll talk more Hangtown 100, plus the Flow Series at Sonoya, Sprint Cars at BAPS, and a lot more. Hope you guys have a great Wednesday out there. We'll see you right back here tomorrow.